What is going on, guys? Welcome to the first episode of the TST Podcast. For those of you that don't know what that means, it's going to stand for the Trinity Sports Podcast. I have here with me two of my co-hosts, Felix and Mr. Jordan Utsch. I kind of want to hand it off to you guys, have you guys introduce yourselves. I'll go into kind of how we met and everything. I'll introduce myself, and then we'll get into the podcast and what we're going to talk about today. So, Ben, I'll have you go first.
Alrighty, I'm 22 years old right now. I'm in college at the University of Arizona. I'm going for business management right now. I graduated in May, and I love watching sports. That's why big reason why we wanted to start this podcast. And yeah, right now I'm just working and going to school. How do you, Jordan?
All right. I'm Jordan Utsch of Clutch Sports, diehard Oklahoma City Thunder fan. And, I met these guys because I think, I'm a religious guy. I think the Lord directed them into my gym. We were able to connect on some basketball.
That's crazy.
Gave them some buckets. They might have given me a bucket or two. And we were able to all come together and find our passion for sports and sports debate. So that's why we're all here. And we're super excited to get this thing going.
Yeah, I think it was very, obviously Ben's my little cousin. I've obviously known him my whole life. But we one day we're playing just basketball at LA Fitness, and one of Jordan's buddies invited us to this church that we go pick up basketball on Wednesdays. And ever since then, we always have a great time playing basketball, but then usually the talks after the runs end are usually kind of like why we got so close. We talk about literally anything you could think of sports wise, which obviously it's March. We obviously know being basketball fans is a huge month for basketball fans just in general. We're obviously seeing the end of
kind of like few months.
Exactly the end of the regular season for the NBA. There's only I think like 18 or something more games. But for the college fans, it is March Madness, which is actually going to be which is just, at least me and Ben were talking about it before the podcast. Like it's like the most enjoyable month as a sports fan. Like there's just like the excitement for baseball to start, playoffs for the NBA, March Madness, like everything. Obviously football is obviously done, but for most, more sports fans, it's actually a really good time. And so, I kind of want to kick it off into what you guys think of, the field of 68, kind of who you guys saw. I was looking at the bracket not too long ago. Have it pulled up here. We are all obviously from Arizona, so we're all pretty big U of A fans. Ben's about to graduate from there. That's my alma mater. And Jordan's a big U of A fan, obviously. So kind of want to kick it over to you guys and kind of see.
Big U of A fan, but I'm a Wolverine. UVU, baby.
There it is.
Let's go.
Yeah, I kind of want to kick it off. To Jordan, kind of see, I don't know if you've looked at the bracket. I know you said you filled yours out. Kind of want to see where you think some of the upsets lie. What, you're excited to see. Get everyone's point of view, but Jordan, we'll start off with you, boss.
Okay, well, let's start with a hot topic right now. Cooper Flagg. So with Cooper Flagg right now, we know he had that ankle injury. And what's expected is him coming into this first game. They're actually expecting him to play a few minutes. Nothing crazy, but just to get him warm. But a lot of people thought he would probably be out for a little bit. But according to some reports I already seen from ESPN, he's supposed to play a few minutes in the first game, but they don't need him in this first game. So I think it's probably smart. Don't play him too much. Get him ready for possible second round matchup. I've got them going up against Mississippi in the second round. So We'll see how that plays out. But I actually have Duke going pretty far. I do have Arizona seeing Duke in the Sweet 16, and I do have Arizona losing to them. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's where I'm at with the hometown team for us and Duke.
To kind of continue on the Cooper Flagg topic, I I know they're playing a 16 seed, and yes, they could definitely win this game without him. They went through the ACC without him, and they're a good enough team all around to beat whoever they play, whether that's American or Mount St. Mary's. I just think that they should maybe play him 6 minutes in the first half, 6 minutes in the second half, kind of get his blood flowing, make sure the ankle's okay. March Madness is different, especially for a freshman. And his first action coming against a Mississippi State team that's real physical or a Baylor team coached real well by Scott Drew, I think it might be a little tough to kind of just throwing him into the action and in with the Wolves like that. So I do see your point where you don't want to play him, you don't want to chance anything because this is a Final Four contending type of team, especially when he's healthy. But I do think they do need to play him a bit, and I don't know how Ray feels about that.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that point.
Yeah,
I just said not too many minutes, but yes.
Yeah, and I would say that was like the first thing that I texted Ben about when obviously we saw that we were in the when I saw that we were in that, obviously in Duke's region. I literally first said like I don't know how healthy he is, and obviously the Sweet 16 is when obviously the U of A would see Duke. That's what a week and a couple days away. So,
Yeah, that would be second weekend.
yeah. So
Second weekend
even
of the
if we
tournament.
were obviously to see him, he would, I'm assuming he would have number one probably played a little bit, or number two would be rested enough to obviously come into the game against the U of A. So, it didn't really obviously pay too much attention to obviously like that we could beat them. We saw them earlier this year. They handled us pretty easy as far as that goes.
Won by 14 in McHale.
Yeah, which is obviously not something that's an easy feat in college basketball. So that was the number one thing for me. I've told Ben that I think we're a very up and down team, especially as of late. Obviously, we started off the year very, very good. Middle of the season, we looked like one of the best teams probably in the nation. And then as of late, we're 4-6. Or I guess I went to 6-7, obviously in the Big 12 tournament. But it was, I kind of took a little bit of the Big 12 tournament into, with a grain of salt. We beat Texas Tech without two starters. We then went on to Houston without one of their starters. So it was more so like, did I, and we lost to Houston. So, yeah, it was just something where I just don't know how well how much better we can look, I guess, as far as that goes. And then to obviously probably run into Duke if we can get past the first two rounds. It would just be something that's tough. I did want to talk to you guys, and I did want to ask you guys, what do you guys think about the maybe matchup that we get between John Calipari and Rick Pitino in the round of 32 if Arkansas can get past Kansas and St. John's can get past Omaha?
Hold on, before we get to that, I think we have to look at the first round. In that whole pod of the 7-10 Kansas, Arkansas, and then St. John's and Omaha, in that whole little pod in that bottom left bracket, we have 3 future Hall of Fame college coaches: Bill Self, John Calipari, and Rick Pitino. And so I think the committee knew what they were doing when they made this bracket. I think this is honestly the toughest region. I think this is the West region. You get to see Bill Self against John Calipari first round, and then winner of that gets Rick Pitino second round. But to your point, Ray, a John Calipari and a Rick Pitino matchup would be the storyline of the second round for sure. Both coaches used to coach at Kentucky, and both of them left kind of on bad terms. Now Rick Pitino's kind of looked like the good person in Big Blue Nation. So I really like that matchup. I think based on the storyline, I want to see Arkansas St. John's second round.
I'd like that too.
Yeah, I was.
I think that'd be good too.
I was looking at just that whole region, and then even obviously the number one team, probably the hottest team in the nation right now, Florida. I guess, like I said, it's all speculation. It's all we're expecting, obviously, them to get through, obviously, to the to the round of 32, playing a 16 seed. But to have to face UConn, back-to-back national champion, I'm assuming, like I said, this is all just my bracket at least.
That's another storyline
Seeing
in that bracket.
UConn, maybe obviously they have to play Oklahoma, you have to get past who you play, but seeing UConn back to national champion, as an 8 seed, as a number one, they couldn't have gotten a harder path. Texas Tech also being in that region. You got Maryland being in that region. I mean, Colorado State probably one of the biggest mountain, there's only 2 Mountain West teams, but that team has looked good all year. It's something where, like I said, I don't know what's going to come out of that region. Texas Tech being in the Big 12, obviously me and Ben watched them so much. Played them 3 times. That team is stacked.
Legit.
That team is as good as it gets. And yeah, you couldn't just ask for, at least in my opinion, you couldn't ask for a harder region being Florida. So
yeah, that whole West region. I mean, you have Florida, the hottest team in America right now. You have the back-to-back champions in UConn, who the last team to play or win back-to-back national championships was Florida in 06-07. They'll be playing UConn most likely in the second round, in my opinion. You got Penny Hardaway in that bracket. You got the Crab Five, who's from Maryland, who I think is the best starting 5 in America. Drake, who's
Penny Hardaway.
Oh yeah, of course. What he's done there over the past couple years is crazy. But then you have Drake, who's really the mid-major favorite by everyone. Everyone loves him. And then that bottom half has 3 Hall of Fame coaches. Like this bracket is going to be tough, really tough.
yeah, I was also looking just in general. Like I think me and Ben were talking about this not too long ago. It's like, I don't know. I feel like it's the one year that there hasn't been like that team that like you can see that like it's just like far and above everybody else, but also at the same time like that also makes it a lot more like intriguing to watch March Madness, because there's this is, at least it feels like, one of the biggest pools of who could actually win this tournament. There's so many people. I was watching a TikTok where this guy puts kind of like in every single team the drop off from their best player to the worst player out of the their rotation of 8. That's usually what people run with probably in March Madness. So he looked up obviously the biggest drop off from the best player on that team to the biggest drop off to their 8th best player on that team, and Duke. They're number 8. I forgot obviously his name that they were talking about, but in that TikTok, like he was seen as someone that could be some other, in some mid majors and stuff like that. Their best player and everything as far as that goes. So like the drop off between Duke was the actual smallest drop off between the best player to worst player. Obviously, they probably have the best player in the nation, Cooper Flagg, who's probably going to go number 1 overall. Not really, probably he's going number 1 overall, but
if he declares for the draft, we don't know. We don't know. Things are mysterious right now. Those NIL deals, they just keep getting crazier and crazier, and there's no real like cap on these things. But
it doesn't rank with NBA money.
Oh, 100%, 100%. So especially for these guys who know they're not going to make it to the NBA or could go late second round, like Caleb Love, of course you're going to go ahead and take that money. But I do have to say this, okay? OU, okay, I have an upset. OU first round, I'm taking them over the back-to-back champs. Look, I'm telling you, they lost in devastating fashion to Kentucky, and I think they're out for blood. That's just how I feel about it. UConn has had a real big dip this year. They also lost, but I don't know. I feel like the steam is going out on them. And I think it's perfect time for a good first round upset. So
I could definitely see that. They got a projected top 10 pick, and they've had wins against Arizona, Louisville, and Michigan this year. And I know most people will probably look at Louisville as only an 8 seed, but I think the only reason why they got an 8 seed was because of how bad the ACC was. Louisville on their best day could probably be up near a 5 or 6 seed in my opinion. Um, so yeah, like I could definitely see Oklahoma pulling out the upset there. I have UConn though, just putting it out there.
They're underdogs, and I think they're pretty like most picks I've seen. I think 78% pick UConn to beat Oklahoma. But yeah, I wouldn't
Hmm.
be surprised if Oklahoma comes out with the win.
Okay, okay. Who's your upset pick, Ray?
It's kind of like a cop out pick because I feel like every single year there's always there is always a 12 that beats a 5. I feel like there's always that. I think last year there was 12 versus 5s. But
Hmm.
one thing that I've been looking up a lot, or I've been seeing a lot, is VCU over BYU in the East region, in the U of A's region. Um, BYU, we played them twice again, also as well. They beat us at McHale. They put up what
Hmm.
90. That was the game we actually went to go watch. They put up
Put up
yeah like 90.
94.
Yeah, they put up
That's a
90
6
points
and
in
11
in
too.
McHale.
Just by the way,
Exactly, and that team prides himself on offense. And they've looked very good this year, obviously. But VCU is absolutely they're monsters on defense. And I just don't know, like I said, if the shot's not falling for BYU, that just obviously, first of all, in March, shots not falling, it's going to be hard to win. But as far as that goes, for a team that prides himself on defense, that's one of the upsets I was thinking about. Another one, like I said,
they better hope to get a lot of transition buckets.
all these
That's all I gotta say.
5-12s. I mean,
Hmm.
the Oregon Liberty game, the Michigan UC San Diego game, and then the Memphis Colorado State game. Like I said, that
Yep.
could be 3-12 versus 5 wins. I
Yep.
didn't really like any of the 3-14 matchups. Like I think Texas Tech and Iowa State are just absolute dominant 3 seeds. Obviously Wisconsin,
Hmm.
Montana. I was seeing some people had Montana going in there. Don't know much about Montana, so I didn't really want to weigh in on that.
I'll get to that.
Yeah, U of A played Wisconsin earlier in the year, and that game was 6 hours because there was 57 free throws. But yeah, that
Yep.
was I haven't really done much in that. Kentucky's one that that a lot of people, I wouldn't say that they would think they're a 3 seed just because of their record. But they probably played in the hardest conference of all year. All year the SEC had 14 bids into the 68 team tournament. So obviously seeing the SEC as dominant as it is, any of those teams are just battle tested as far as like who they play, how they play, all the coaches in the SEC. Like you're just going up against them in the Big 12. You're going up against the best teams in the nation. And
Yep.
so yeah, like I said, there's just a lot. There weren't any really three. Obviously, I didn't really look at that Wisconsin Montana game, but there weren't a lot of 3 versus 14s I've seen, and obviously 2 versus 5s, 1 versus 16s, very, 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 very rare. But I think the ones this year are some of the best ones we've ever seen as far as that goes. As
Yep.
far as like the strength of obviously these ones. So I didn't have any 1 versus 16s. Very rare to obviously happen. There's only been 2 ever. And then, yeah. So I don't know, Ben, if you had any other insight on some. I know you've done a lot more research than I have on these games and
Hmm.
everything. But yeah, do you have any more upsets
So
that you can talk about?
before my upset pick, um, the reason why I think a lot of people are on Montana is because Wisconsin got screwed. I think Wisconsin got screwed out of any team in this tournament. First off, last week they played 4 games in 4 days, made it to the Big Ten championship game, was the runner up in the Big Ten, and now they play first day Thursday of the round of 64. I think they're the second or third game of the day, so they have one of the least amount of rest, um, and they have to travel to Denver, play in high elevation, where Montana not only plays but lives year round in high elevation, and then in the second round, they're most likely going to see BYU, in my opinion. I know Ray, you were talking about VCU can upset them, and I could definitely see that if BYU isn't hitting shots. But let's say BYU makes it to the second round, Wisconsin wins. Um, Wisconsin then has to play BYU in Denver, which is most likely a home game for BYU in high elevation. So I really do think Wisconsin got screwed, and that's why I think a lot of people are on Montana. But I would still take Wisconsin though. My upset pick though is UC San Diego, and the reason for that is because I remember a few years ago, me and Ray, we were watching the Big Ten championship game. It was Iowa and Purdue, I think, and it was when Keegan Murray and Chris Murray were there on the team, and we watched them. We were like, man, this team is legit. Like this team is really good. We saw them go through the whole Big Ten, grueling conference, 4 games in 4 days, and they lost first round of the tournament. I forgot who it was. I have to go back and check, but they lost first round of the tournament. Me and Ray had Iowa. They were a 5 or 4 seed, and we had them in our Sweet 16, I
Yeah, I
think.
remember Keegan Murray was an absolute
And
animal in college. Yeah.
animal at Iowa. And so I don't really like Big Ten teams coming off of a Big Ten championship game. And this UC San Diego team, I think they're second in turnover rate in the entire country, and they force turnovers on 23% of their defensive possessions. Like an absurd number. Like that's unheard of. They play defense. They got I don't even want to try and pronounce his first name, but his last name is Tate Jones. If you guys go and just look at him, he's averaging like 19 and a half points a game, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, all around guard, like can do it all. And I think that's kind of what Cinderella type teams need to make not a run, but get an upset in the first round. And so if I were to pick any 12 over 5 team, it'd be UC San Diego over Michigan. And I agree with Ray. Like I could definitely see 3 of these 4 12 seeds upsetting in the first round. I could see Colorado State beating Memphis. I could see who was the other? Liberty beating Oregon. The only sured one of the 5 seeds that I have moving on is Clemson. I think Clemson's experienced enough. Made it to the Sweet 16 last year. Beat U of A in the round of 32. And or actually no, they beat us in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Sweet 16. They made it to the Elite 8, and so they return most of their guys. I think they lost 2 of their starters, but they did get a good transfer, averaging like 14 points a game from them. So yeah, Clemson's my 1-5 seed. I have for sure moving on.
Yeah, I was looking. I was watching. I don't know if you guys know. I think it's the AZ12 podcast with Jason Shear and Mike Luke. And I was watching them. What they were talking about is obviously they're close within obviously the U of A. The U of A team and everything, coaches and everything. They said they were getting ready to go to Denver. They thought they were going to be the number 1 5 seed, which would have been Michigan. Us in Michigan were 16, 17 in the nation, as far as like the poll that came out in from 1 through 68. So yeah, looking at the Michigan draw that they got with UC San Diego, like that would have caused some hiccups, at least I feel like.
Yeah.
And everything. So like I said, we're in the West, or we're in the East, but obviously we have a West Coast game. So we're going to Seattle. We were planning on going to Denver. So obviously, like I said, with what I saw out of who they got, I was actually like very, very happy with our draw.
Ray, could you imagine UC San Diego? I said that they force turnovers on 23% of their defensive possessions. Yeah. Could you imagine our guards going up against that, who just absolutely turn it over like way too much? It's crazy.
Yeah, Jordan, how much do you watch 10%. The U of A, Jordan? Like how much, like throughout the year, like how much of it? Because like especially as of late in the Big 12 tournament, that's what I told Ben. I'm like, I loved our team going into the year, especially adding Trey Townsend from Oakland last year, who obviously went off, averaged 30 points, last March, went off in their little Sweet 16 run. Adding Trey Townsend, adding Toby Awaka, I was so excited for our team, and I still am. Like I said, I still think we have a good team. I just think that there's
some growing pains,
and it was more so like. It's tough because, like I said, I thought that everyone was going to get better. Obviously, Carter Bryant coming in, being as young as he is, 18 years old. You can see it sometimes in his play. Like that man is a freak athlete, but you can just see like the young mind in him come out in some passes, some
Yeah.
plays,
People
some
forget that
shots.
too. Like some of these kids, they look like they're 30, but they're 18, 19,
Yeah.
you know, they're
No,
young.
exactly. And you know, he
So,
might be a top 25 pick in the you know, the incoming draft. I hope he stays just to number one, get stronger mentally and also physically. Like I think he could be a lottery pick next year if he stays. So
yeah,
that's
I
one thing
think
I'm
so
hoping
too. I
for.
think that's his best bet. Get a little more development, and I could see him being top 15 for sure.
Yeah. So
Right now, I think he's projected 22nd to the Nets. So I agree with you guys on that.
yeah, and it's just like and it's
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, you know, it's something where I hope I just hope our guards come to play. Like I said, Caleb Love in March is always, you know, a top player in the you know, in the nation as far as that goes. Like
Yep.
this guy shows up when it's needed. KJ Lewis had a absolute phenomenal Big 12 tournament. I think the game against Texas Tech, he had like I don't even know, it was like 12, 7, 6, 4 blocks and like 3 steals or something just out of these world
Mhm.
stats. You know, and Trey Townsend has looked very good, you know, in these 3 games in March. So hopefully, like I said, he's a March player. He's ready to go and everything. So yeah, I don't know. Looking, you know, Ben just brought up the whole turnover thing, and it's just like if we can stop those turnovers. Akron's such a small team, and I don't know if anyone
Yeah.
can run with us in the nation as far as that goes. Like, our pace is insane. So they're a small team. They're
Insane.
also
Two,
going to
we're
want
gonna
to play
live
with
by our
pace.
guards. We're gonna die by our guards. So
Exactly.
you know, like that's what it comes
Yeah.
down to.
No, 100%.
Rebounding is good though. Rebounding is good. Love the
Yeah.
extra possessions.
I think we're like top 15 in rebounding margin per game. And it's just because we have Vasa and Toby Awaka is one of the best offensive rebounders I've ever seen. Like ever.
He always just has a hand on the ball. Doesn't matter where it is. Like it's just
Yep.
like yeah, he's
He still had the most amount of rebounds in that championship game. We just couldn't capitalize on the extra possessions,
yeah, no,
Yeah.
good stuff.
unfortunately.
What do you guys think?
Yeah. So who do?
Or here, go, Jordan.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you guys have your picks for the championship game?
I haven't filled out my bracket, but I could give you my projected Final Four and champion. Um,
Okay,
so
let's hear it.
I have Michigan State coming out of their region.
Okay.
I don't trust Auburn. Iowa State, they're missing their best player in Keyshawn Gilbert. So I'm not a big Iowa State fan right now and of making a deep run. Then I have Florida coming out of their region. I think they're just the hottest team, most complete team I've seen in
It's a
the
good
whole
choice.
country.
Hot at the right time.
Yep. And then when you go to the other side of the bracket, um, that top region is tough. But I'd probably have to go Duke, especially if Cooper Flagg is healthy. Like Ray was mentioning earlier, like they just 1 through 8 is just so good, so deep. And this bottom bracket was also tough. And I know it sounds a little chalk. I think if there's any year for it to be kind of chalk, 1 and 2s, this is the year. Um, it's between Houston and Tennessee, but I got Houston coming out. Kelvin Sampson finally gets through and makes the Final Four. And then between Duke and Houston, that's going to be a hell of a game. Uh,
Who you got?
I'm going to take Duke. I think they got the best player on the court, just as good of a coach, if not better. And then I have Florida meeting them in the championship, and I have the Florida Gators winning it all this year.
Wow.
Yes.
That is a pick. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, I got my four right here. Okay, final four. I got Duke and Houston. Same
Okay.
thing. On the other end of things, I got Michigan and Florida. Okay.
Ooh.
I got Michigan. Yes, I got Michigan. Okay. Now, listen, we can talk about that another time. But coming out of Michigan and Florida, I got Florida. And coming out of Duke and Houston, I've got Houston taking down
Hmm.
Duke. So,
Okay. I can definitely see
so
it.
yep. So I've got Florida and Houston in the championship game, and I've got the same pick as you. I got the Gators winning it all this year. I
I
think
like
they're
it.
coming back. I think they're coming back on top.
Yeah, they're nice. Who you got, Ray?
Yeah, so I was going through yeah, I it's and I've seen a lot of brackets like this. I don't know if it just feels like such a top heavy year. Like usually, like you put a lot of ones and a lot of twos and a lot of threes in like the the Elite Eight. Everyone's like, oh, you didn't pick upsets, but like I don't know what it is about this year. Like these top 8 teams just seem so dominant. Yeah, I have Auburn coming out. They're just an old team, man. As far as like in a good way, they're an old team. Like they're a team that has experience. Like I said, they played in the hardest conference all year. Like I said, they kind of struggled. I mean, they have 6 losses. They've struggled as of late, but it's something where just like like I said, any team can get hot. I have Texas Tech coming out of their region.
I like
I
it.
have Texas Tech beating St. John's and then also beating Florida. I've seen that Tech team, like I said, without 2 starters. So that's why I'm saying that as well. Like that team is dominant. Like we beat them twice this year. One of those games, like I said, they weren't healthy. But they have just been dominant in such a good, like I said, the Big 12 is, in my opinion, the second best conference in the nation. And like I said, they've just looked so good. I also do have Duke beating Bama. I have Duke beating Bama in the West region. Or in the East region, my bad. And then I have Houston beating Tennessee. I have Houston beating Duke, beating Auburn, and then I have Houston winning it all. So that's where
Wow,
I'm
a Big 12 championship.
Yeah, a lot of SEC squads.
Okay.
I was watching.
Hey, I put Houston in the championship game. I got them far.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's something about and maybe it's a little bit of bias as far as like it's a team. It's teams that I've watched so much all year. Like these teams are just like they're just different, man. I don't know what it is about the Big 12. The Big 12 is a very top heavy conference as well. And I don't know, something.
I feel we're way more agreeable in college basketball than we are in NBA.
We're a lot more agreeable in college basketball
Facts.
than NBA. But it's also something for me, like these SEC, and obviously, like I said, the Big 12 is not as deep at the very bottom. Like at the very bottom, there's a lot of easy games as far as ASU, Colorado, like those teams that Cincinnati, those teams that can. Obviously, they can win at any time, but when you play them, you're like, hey, we can take our foot off the pedal a little bit. As far as the SEC, like these guys, in a good way, I was like, oh, they're battle tested. They can also, these guys have been punching each other for months, and sometimes that could lead to. In the best conference all year, we played, Auburn, right? We played Tennessee, we played all these teams, right? And they can just like keep looking forward and like, oh, we play better in a heartbeat. So, like I said, I have a Big 12 championship. I wanted to go a little different because, like I said, a lot of everybody has had 1 versus 2s in the Elite Eight, and I can see it definitely happening, but also see something else. And like I said, Tech has just looked so good, and I like their path. I mean, other than St. John's, like,
yeah.
Sometimes it's about the path too, man.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, like
I'm not a huge St. John's fan this year, though.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, man. 30-4. The Big East wasn't as good this year, obviously. But teams like Marquette.
Yeah, it's just that it's the Big East wasn't as great.
Schools were there? Is it just 2?
St. John's, Marquette, Xavier.
Yeah, you don't usually hear Marquette and Xavier in there.
It might have just been 3 or 4. We might be missing one.
I'm looking through the bracket right now.
Creighton.
Yep.
What was that one school? The old lady in the wheelchair. They always
Loyola Chicago.
Yes, Loyola. That's right.
Yep.
Are they in it? I don't think they are.
No, they're not. But yeah, I don't trust St. John's. They're bottom 6 in 3-pointers made per game. In the whole entire country. I don't trust them in March.
What do you guys think?
So I like that Texas Tech pick.
What do you guys think is this year's NC State or like St. Peter's for example. Like I guess there's not really a team that was like NC State. Some team that like just was like average all year, got really hot, won their tournament. The only reason they actually got into the tournament and then made an Elite Eight run.
Hmm.
Or like St. Peter's, like I said, where they are such a high seed. St. Peter's was a 15, right? 15 versus a 2. They beat Purdue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
No. Or was it Kentucky or Purdue that they beat?
St. Peter's? I thought it was Purdue. I think it was both.
I think they did actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was both.
Or Purdue lost the
I think
next
they
year
made it
after.
to the Elite Eight. I think St. Peter's was. Yeah, what's your
Yeah.
guys' like I said, I know we've talked about a lot of obviously how good these top teams are, but like what is your 13 to 16 seed that you can see making a run? Because I think last year NC State was an 11 seed. But like, what's your guys' team?
Can we go 11 through
I
16?
can do 11 to 16. Yeah, and I know it kind of made it a little bit tough because obviously we both think UC San Diego can make a run, and that'll probably be my pick as well. But a lot of people have been talking about High Point as a 13 seed playing Purdue. So
Mhm.
I don't know. Obviously, if history's gonna repeat itself, and they're gonna get upset again. But High Point, I've seen a lot of people on them being a 13 seed. So yeah, I kind of wanted to ask you guys to see kind of where you guys are coming from as far as like a really high seed that you think can actually make a run because of skill or because of, like I said, getting a good draw or anything as far as that goes.
You go, Jordan.
That's a good question. I mean, honestly, man, I'll be honest. With my bracket, I don't have many of the lower seeded teams coming out. A lot of these paths are pretty tough for
Hmm.
most of these teams. Let me see. I think the team I've got the most faith in for the upset. See, and that's a good team. I mean, that's a good team. I got Kansas, but they're a 7 seed. You know what I mean? So honestly,
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Oh,
happy
you're
with a lot
one
of
of
the
those
favorites this year.
guys, Jordan. No
Well, it's
flavor.
this year. Well, right now, I gotta say, I just nothing's really speaking to me right now, man. I gotta be
I,
honest.
if I had to
Besides
go an
Kansas.
11 seed or higher, it's between UC San Diego or High Point. And when I look at the paths, I don't like High Point in the second round against Clemson, so I'd probably go UC San Diego. And I know this sounds crazy, but I might have UC San Diego in my Elite Eight.
You have given Auburn no respect.
I the reason no. I was looking at something, and no champion has ever had a non top 30 pick in the NBA draft the next year. And the only player that you can maybe make a case for in Auburn is Janai Broom. And I think he's projected like right outside the top 30. I look at that team, they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. Yes, against really good competition in the ACC. I think they lost against A&M, Tennessee, and I forgot who else it was. But I don't know. There's just like a chink in the armor that I see in them. And if I had to pick any of these uh, 11 or higher seeds to go on a run, I love UC San Diego. But uh, another one that they're an 8 seed, and I don't really like their path. But if they could get past the second round, I'd watch out for Gonzaga. Gonzaga's getting hot at the right time. They're top 9 in KenPom, top 9 in offensive rating, and top 25 in defensive rating. I honestly don't know how they got an 8 seed, how St. Mary's got a 7 seed. I really think the committee disrespected the that West Coast Conference a lot. I thought Gonzaga was going to be more like a 6 seed. So I definitely want to see that Houston Gonzaga game in the round of 32.
Can I tell you that UC San Diego on paper, listen, obviously record is good, but the teams they've played, man, it's hard to believe in them, especially coming out. I mean, they got to take on Michigan,
The only problem I see
like
in
And
that
I
that's
get that.
is that haven't played anyone. Like,
Don't
yeah,
play
there's
it
there's
hard
so
schedule.
many mid
Yeah,
majors that make a run. Like I said, it's just about how you get hot, and regardless of who they played, how they played,
for
when they
sure.
played, you know, you play who you play, and these guys.
Exactly. And I know they can't control their conference. The good thing about UC San Diego is they are on a streak. Like they are winning, 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 winning. So
hmm,
Yeah,
if they do have a chance, then
because like
I think that is a good pick.
yeah, I think me and Ben talked about this literally last year. and how I was telling Ben, like I seeing the Cinderellas like kind of like in a bad way. It kind of like ruins it for me. Um, like because most of these Cinderellas, right? They'll beat the 2 seed or whoever they played, right? They'll beat the 2 seed, and then boom, they just go and get waxed the next week. And I'm just like, would I have wanted to see Michigan State, play, these teams like and right, like Michigan State should never lose to teams like that, or like we said, regardless of
Because there's been too many times where U of A's lost,
exactly.
and then the team that beat U of A goes into the next round. You're like, wow, you did that just to get waxed. We would have just done way better. We would have at
Exactly.
least made it competitive.
And so that for
Yeah.
me, like I always like look at it both ways. Like it's always so cool to see, like even last year, like teams like Oakland. But I know Kentucky, that as far as the team goes, they weren't that good last year. They had 2 top picks: Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepard. Obviously that team, they were just
Rob
all
Dillingham is different.
they were all based off of like how good their offense could be. And obviously they just Trey Townsend. What was his name? The sniper,
The
the
shooter.
3-point
The shooter. I forgot his name, but yeah,
I
I
just saw him
remember
on
him.
Twitter because he made his bracket. He made his.
Hey, shout
Let me
out
see.
Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker, Wisconsin. That, oh my gosh, that shooting duo that killed us
Yeah, we don't
like
talk
10
about
years
them.
ago.
We don't talk about them.
Uh,
Yeah, those guys like
Terrible.
are in dreams.
Terrible.
They're in nightmares, bro. Like
Oh, Ray,
Yes.
Jack
no,
Gokul,
I
or
think it's Got or
that's his name.
What is his
Gokul,
name?
yeah.
George, yeah. Kokol?
Gokul, yeah, something like that.
Golki,
Some weird last name.
something like that. But
Bad
yeah,
hairline.
yeah,
Golki.
that yeah.
Golki.
But like it's
Golki,
teams
yes.
like that, right? Like if you're gonna win, I want to see you make a run. You know what I'm saying? Like I think last year, yeah, Kentucky was a 3
Ain't no
seed. They
way
were a
he's a day
14
under
seed. Oakland was
35,
a 14.
by the way.
What'd you say?
Ain't no way he's a day under 35. There's no way. That man looks way older than even
Facts.
me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, to be
And
honest.
so like it seems like that. Like it's not like if you win, I hope you keep winning, because it's not basketball, right? Like it's it's one and you're done as far as that goes. Like you can have a bad game
Yes.
and whatever it is, but like I would much rather see, if a 15 beats a 2 this year, I want to see them in Elite Eight. Like I want to see them make that St. Peter's type of run, because it's just like, they beat that
Yes.
2 seed, and
That's
then they
what
go
makes
play
it
the
hype.
7.
That's what makes it
Yeah, they
hype.
go play the 7, and then they just get waxed by 20, and I'm just like, all right, like cool,
Then you're like, all right, you weren't for real. That was just a fluke.
Yeah, it was-
But if you get a couple in there on top of that big upset, then we're like, okay, you proved yourself. Even if you get knocked out in the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight, if you make it that far, that's
True.
still big time. That is still big time. So do we want to transition over to NBA?
Yeah.
free. We're trying to do these hopefully every Tuesday or Wednesday. So we're hoping, obviously, by next show, the first 2 rounds will be done, and we'll have an updated bracket. See kind of if any of our
Picks
our
it.
picks, our sleepers, I see if any of them obviously can make a run and everything like that. But I did want to go into the NBA because it is heating up. The West is as crazy as it's ever been. And everything. I kind of want to go into and get Jordan, your thoughts. Big topic of discussion right now is the Warriors, and how obviously the resurgence of that team has been since they got Jimmy Butler at the trade deadline. And I just want to see and kind of get your opinion on if you think Jimmy can help them, obviously go through and win it all. So I want to get your thoughts.
Okay. Well, so a couple things. Jimmy Butler has definitely transformed this team. No disrespect to Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is a solid ball player, but in literally every category where Andrew Wiggins is good, probably besides 3-point shooting, Jimmy Butler just elevates that team to another level. He's a glue guy. I mean, he's a Swiss Army knife. He can do whatever you want. And in a
Yep.
way, he's low key like a Draymond when it comes to, hey, you need me here? Great. And his defense has been phenomenal. He's actually been taking a lot of the load off Curry recently when it comes to playmaking as well. And just getting people to stop doubling him as much. Curry's been able to play a little more free. Now, I don't know if you guys caught the Denver game, but I watched that last night. And I think Denver, honestly, was just like motivated. I think especially Russell Westbrook was super motivated to like make a statement. So I don't think it was as much as the Warriors, like, like aren't for real versus like the Nuggets without Jokic and Murray. They just like Westbrook really wanted to prove something and Aaron Gordon really wanted to prove something. So they just had one of those nights.
Yeah. To kind of piggyback off of last night's game, I was looking at the stats this morning because I didn't get a chance to watch the game at all last night. But the Warriors had 20 turnovers and shot 8 for 33 from three, and I just can't see that happening again. Like that's just an outlier type of game. I know the Nuggets were without Jokic, Murray, and Christian Brown, but I that's just out of the ordinary for that type of team.
Oh
And
yeah, Aaron
I
Gordon had 38. He just went
yeah,
crazy.
like how many times is
Doesn't
Aaron
happen
Gordon
every
going to
day.
have that? Yeah, even against bad defenses, like Aaron Gordon is at max going to get 20 points, 25. So yeah, I do think that Nuggets team was motivated. I mean, they're still playing really tough to try and get a top four seed, and especially with LeBron out right now, every team that's in that top, one or not one because the Thunder secured the one, but anywhere from 2 to 6, 2 to 8 actually, yeah.
Yeah, even down to the 8th seed is kind of like
You're
up for
right.
grabs. Like who wants it?
Yeah, like
Without a
everyone's trying
doubt.
to get a top four seed right now, and so I do think the Warriors kind of took them for granted. But what were your thoughts about last night's game, Ray?
Yeah, we were at the gym when I got the notification that we lost by I think it was like 8 or something. And I was like that. I think I told
Hmm.
you I was like that is the worst loss of the year. Like that is not you can't lose that. I mean, you can't lose that game. Being a Steph Curry fan, and so essentially it makes me being a Warriors fan. Seeing this run, a lot of people have said like they haven't really played anybody, and that was going to be their first test, and then boom, Jamal Murray and Jokic are out, and everyone's like, oh, here we go again. They were I think it ended at 12 and a half point favorites, and then to lose that
Hmm.
game at home. I think the bigger thing for me about that whole situation is what was said after the game. I don't know if you guys caught it. I don't know if you guys saw what Jimmy
From Steve
what Jimmy
Kerr
what the Steve Kerr said, but
or
also
and
what
Jimmy?
Jimmy Butler, what Jimmy Butler said, because they obviously interviewed Steve Kerr and he was talking about how Curry is tired, and how Curry's been tired or whatever.
Hmm.
That has been over the last like 5 games. Um, he's not. I think he's shooting like 39% from the field and 31% from three or whatever it was. Um, and the last 5 games, he hasn't looked as good as he did. The first 10 games they had Jimmy. And they've still been winning these games, but that's because they've been getting so much help from everybody like Jonathan Kuminga, Gui, Santos. Um,
Quentin Post.
Gary Payton's been playing his ass off. So it's been
Yep.
No Podziemski. He's been out still, but
who?
he should be back
Yeah.
hopefully soon.
Oh,
Pajemski.
Podziemski. Yeah, no. So
Yeah,
he's been
Podziemski.
out, but not beating the not beating the Nuggets because of that. But yes, like I said, as far as that goes, and I think it was really cool to see what Jimmy Butler said. I don't know if any of you guys caught it, but he kind of
Yeah.
said like my job and our job is to protect that man, like to protect Curry, and he's like, I've been, as of late, I've been assisting, I've been, playmaking, getting the ball to the right person, but now it's my time to like take over. Um, and that man's a demon. That man is an absolute demon when it comes to playoff time. So I'm excited to see him kind of like, put the foot on the gas and kind of be like, hey, Curry, I've been here watching you drop, 35 a game for the past, 20 games. It's my time, and everything, and just to see him come in and, like I said, I guess the respect Curry has from those players that these big time players, where like he wasn't saying like, oh, this is my, obviously he knows it's not my team, as in Jimmy Butler, but to see him be like, hey, we need to protect that guy, like that's the one man that we need to protect more than anything, and if he's tired, we need to step up for him. It just goes to show like how much they respect Curry, and everything. So, um it's something where it's going to be hard with how good the West is. The West is going to be as tough as probably it's ever been in the playoffs. Whether they get the, I don't,
Yeah, West is still super volatile.
yeah, it's
Super
crazy.
volatile.
So
How do you feel, Ray? Ray, how do you feel about Nuggets Warriors matchup? Because if it was to end today, it could happen, but might not because of just how everything's fluctuating. How do you feel about a Nuggets first round matchup?
it'd be tough. I think I don't think anyone's ever happy to go against the arguably the best player in the league. Like, you go through and you see what Jokic is doing. Jamal Murray has looked so good as of late. And they're role players. I don't care what anybody says. Like, man, KCP's a great role player, man. But these guys just keep, their role players and honestly, I think Russ is playing better than KCP ever did for that team. To be honest, like,
Russ has been great,
yeah, Russ
man.
has
The
been so
record shows
good.
it.
Christian Braun stepped into that
Record shows it.
KCP role. Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter have actually been kind of hurt this year. But when they're healthy, like, these guys are two of the better role players that you can have. Jamal Murray's, he's a star.
Great value, KD, Michael Porter Jr. He still gives you great value.
But yeah, so like I said, like, that team is deep, man. I don't care what anyone says. Um,
I agree.
and two,
Hey, even Peyton Watson, he's good.
yeah.
I don't care what
Like,
nobody
Christian
says.
Braun has
Peyton
been
Watson,
perfect for that team. Like, and it's just like, so they have such,
he's been chopping threes.
yeah,
too.
they have pieces that they can go out and do something with, and I don't think anyone wants to see them. Like, I don't think who would want to see the best player in the league in the playoffs, like, especially in the first round of the playoffs. Like, there's just like there's levels to it. But yeah, no, like I said, I don't know. As of right now, we're in the playoffs. We could end in the play-in with how good the T-Wolves have been playing, and then I wouldn't want to go against the Clippers, who were 0-3 against this year. So, yeah, it's gonna be a fun. I think, well, I don't know how many games are left, 15 games or whatever it is, but yeah, I don't know how you guys aren't Warriors fans, but like, I know Ben is he's very on the Warriors. Like, he thinks the Warriors can make a deep run probably because of this Jimmy trade. And I know Jordan, we've had these conversations at Wednesday hoop sessions, but you want to see the Warriors, being a Thunder fan.
I do want to see the Warriors,
Yeah.
absolutely, more than anything because last time we saw you guys was 2016 in the playoffs. I need some revenge. Okay. I need it.
Back when
I need it.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, I think it would still be a really fun series.
Yeah, that would be a hell of a series to watch. But Ray, what you said, I wouldn't mind seeing the Clippers if I was the Warriors. I mean, the Clippers, I think, are 0-4 against the Suns. I'm a Suns fan, a KD fan, and if they can't even beat the Suns, there's no way they could beat the Warriors 4 times in a playoff series. Even though
it would
Harden
be for the play-in.
is.
It would be in the play-in. So it would be a 7-8 game.
I thought you guys are. Okay,
Well,
so
I'm saying,
I guess that
as
makes
of
it a
right
bit
now,
different.
yes, we are in the playoffs, but we're a half a game ahead of the 7 seed T-Wolves. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, we
Okay.
could, like I said, right
through
now,
4 is decided by 4
yeah,
games.
let's say we could
4
see,
games.
we could see a, a 6, we could see a 6
Warriors,
seed, we could see a
Clippers.
5 seed, but we could also see us being a 7 seed playing the Clippers in that that one game to decide it all. And that's where it's just like,
Yeah.
that's where it
The
just.
good thing though for you, Ray, if you look at a lot of the teams in the West right now, at least with the last 10 games record, Grizzlies are 5-5, Lakers are 6-4, Nuggets are 6-4. So there is a little bit of a dip. You guys are 8-2. So even though you guys had that bad loss against the Nuggets, if you keep at the pace that you guys are at right now, you could definitely find yourself at the 2nd seed. Like,
Let me see,
you could
'cause
find
we're
yourself at the 2nd
playing,
seed in a few games, or you could go down to 9 or 10.
Especially with Braun out right
All
now.
right, so Curry's sitting today. Actually, Podemski's back. I just went on my phone. So we're playing a healthy Bucks team, and we're up 20-10 in the first quarter. So, like I said, Curry's not playing today. So I'm hoping to see. Actually, I don't even know. Let me see if Jimmy's playing. Yeah, Jimmy's playing. What I want to see right now, and what I want to see this game, even if we lose, I want to see Jimmy just go into kill mode. Like, I just want to see Jimmy go in and just be that guy, like, be that guy that he's been. Playoff Jimmy's a thing. And see, if he can back up his talk, man. Like I said, he's such a good player that he's definitely, and I've been telling Ben, like, he's definitely been like taking a back seat maybe to like let Curry
Mhm.
get hot and everything. But also like
Yeah.
they got you for that reason. They got you to be that extra man to help out Curry as well. And like I said, it's been, but yeah, I don't know how you guys like think the playoffs are going. Ben, I know you're a Suns fan. Um, and it's not looking too pretty right now, as far as that goes.
Nope.
So I want to know like your kind of nervousness or your kind of thought process behind you guys hopefully getting in and getting that 10 or 9 seed to at least have a chance to make the playoffs. Because I don't think, regardless of regardless of how bad the Suns have been this year, I don't think anyone wants to see Devin Booker or Kevin Durant in a playoff game because essentially they would be in the play-in. They're not
Yeah.
going to make the 6 seed.
Hmm.
But just
No.
getting them for one game, and KD and Book can go for 70 combined, and go end your season real quick. So, like I said, it's just hopefully getting that chance to get in. But yeah, I kind of want
Yeah.
to see your thoughts and everything of how you think. Do you think you'll get the 10 or 9 seed? And if you guys do, how uh how what are your
Yeah, man. I
expectations
mean,
and everything?
it's been disappointing. At the very beginning of the year, I think we started off like 9-1, and I had hope for
You
this
guys had a
team.
hot start. Hot
A
start.
really hot start. And it's really just been injuries a lot of the time. It's hard to gain chemistry when Bradley Beal's missing 2 games a week. D Book had a growing strain for like 2 or 3 weeks early in the year. KD's 36 years old, so he's going to miss a few games due to rest and he's a few years off the Achilles injury. But I do, and I know it was against the Raptors, but I do like the changes that Coach Bud, finally made of playing the young guys and Colin Gillespie as well. We the other night we played Oso Ighodaro and Ryan Dunn more than we've played them all year, and
Yep.
they pretty much proved why they should be on the court. Like defensively, offensively, I think Oso Ighodaro had the highest plus minus game in Suns history at plus 39, and he's just such a solid all around big. Not a Can't shoot the ball from 15 feet out, but anywhere inside the paint, rim protector, super athletic, runs the court. Ryan Dunn, one of the best defensive rookies I've seen in a while, and then Colin Gillespie, that dude has been a godsend for us, especially kind of replacing Bradley Beal, who's been such a disappointment for us this year. I wish we never would have traded for Bradley Beal. I think that was where the Suns went wrong. Um, but yeah, like I agree with Ray. Like if we could just sneak in as a 10 seed or even the 9 seed, because I think
Who are you
the
guys
Kings are
fighting? Oh,
kind of falling too.
you guys are fighting for the 10 seed.
We're
This is so. Can I put my 2 cents in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, okay. So
Dallas.
personally, I think you guys make it. I think you guys make it.
I
I
do
think
too.
Dallas is just going to keep dropping. They're two
They're
and
gonna
eight
have
in
to
their
start
last 10.
forfeiting games soon with all these injuries.
That's crazy.
Exactly. Well, why don't you? I don't know why they don't. At this point, just call people up from the G League and just see.
Yeah,
Might as well try to develop some guys, see what they look like. But if let's say it ends and you guys are like 10 or 9, right? So you would have to play the Kings, and then you would probably have to play. So
the
I'm
Clippers.
confident. I'm confident you guys beat the Kings. That's how
Yeah,
I
I
feel.
do too.
I think you guys could take them. But then you would have to play the Clippers.
We're
And
4-0 against the Clippers this year, though. Keep that in
I
mind. And
know
I
I know
know the
you
Clippers
guys
are
are.
playing really good.
They are playing good. That's the one I'm 50-50 on because it
Hmm.
really depends how Kawhi looks, and it depends about Norman Powell too. Those are two huge factors for me. So
Yeah, and I think 2 of our games that we beat the Clippers this year were without Norman Powell. One of them was without Ben Simmons, even though I don't think he makes that much of an
Norman Powell, my
impact
All-Star,
anymore.
just so you guys know. Been a big Norman Powell
Yeah,
guy this
he
year.
should. I mean,
Ray's a big Norman
at this
Powell guy.
point, with Ben Simmons, like it's all about his drive and desire to play. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
I feel like if he really had that drive, he could be a huge factor for them. But
yeah,
he just doesn't have the mentals for it.
yeah. But to kind of finish off about the Suns, I've kind of been done with them for the past month. Even if we do make it, let's say we make it as a 10 seed, we beat the Kings, we upset the Clippers, and get in as the 8 seed, we're gonna have to see the Thunder, and that Thunder team is just too deep, too all around, just on both ends of the court, versatile for us to kind of compete with them in a 7-game series. So as a KD fan, I'm just looking forward to KD becoming a Spur or a Rocket or a Maverick or a Grizzly, whatever it is. Um, and so, even though I would like to see a Suns Thunder matchup more than I would like to see a Kings Thunder or a Clippers Thunder, I don't see any of those teams beating the Thunder in the first round. So, I have no hope for this team. So I'm moving on to the next year.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean that might
He's
be
home
even
so good.
that might be even a good transition into what you guys think. Like I said, Ben's favorite player is Kevin Durant. One
Mm-hmm.
of the greatest players of all time, arguably one of the greatest scorers of all time. And obviously a player that you want on your team. I'm assuming all 30 teams would want KD on their team. I don't think anyone would not want
Yeah.
that. But yeah,
I still think he's the best pure scorer of all time,
yeah, I think
personally.
he's one or two, and you can't really make a discussion for anything otherwise. So, kind of leads into the next topic as far as where do you think Kevin Durant ends up next year? I was looking to see. I was looking on there was a tweet I saw that they're looking to get rid of Coach Bud, or not get rid of Coach Bud. Coach Bud was looking to just decide and see if they can get rid of Bradley Beal to kind of help Kevin Durant stay and everything. Obviously, there are a lot of teams in the mix, a lot of teams with young talent that can probably trade for him. That would probably give the Suns a good enough package for him to want to go to. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think he stays in Phoenix? Do you guys think he goes to San Antonio? He goes to back to Oklahoma City where it all started? Where do you guys think Kevin Durant ends up?
I'll begin with this since KD's my favorite player.
Go for it.
I think there's only 5 teams that he gets traded to because he still has 1 year left on his contract after this year. Um, those 5 teams are the Grizzlies, Timberwolves, Rockets, Spurs, and Thunder. When I look at all those
Warriors.
teams, Warriors could be on there too. I just
I
don't
would
think
love,
KD
I
wants to
would
go back
love.
there.
I'm a Steph Curry fan, Warriors guy. Seeing that duo again would just bring a tear to my eye, man. I love those two together. And yeah, no, but yeah, go on.
Don't get me wrong. I absolutely loved that duo. Brought my favorite player 2 rings, and I could definitely see him going and maybe asking for a trade to Golden State. But I think the likely 2 destinations are either San Antonio or OKC, both because they have just endless amounts of draft picks, which are what the Suns need, not only want but need, and what they're going to be going after. Uh, I think it's going to take less of your team for KD to go to the Spurs though, and that might just be a little biased because I've already told Ray, and I think I told you Jordan too that Wemby's going to be my next favorite player once KD retires, and I would just love to
Yeah.
see KD and Wemby play together. KD getting to mentor Wemby
Two
for
just aliens playing next to each
yeah,
other.
I mean that would be insane. But if you were to ask me where I want KD to end up, I do want him to end up in San Antonio playing alongside Wemby. That would be so amazing. But I would definitely also like to see KD pull a Braun and go back to OKC and OKC.
This is for
This is
you.
for you. I want to see that, man. I want to see that.
Bro,
Might make me cry, man.
I think
That
I
would be
think
dope.
I think KD. The only way he goes to the Thunder is if they don't make it past the second round this year.
That's what I think. I think this is a volatile thought right now and volatile topic because of what it's. We got to have context, right? It's like when Kevin Durant went to the Warriors in the first time around, right? NBA history could look a lot different if Cleveland loses in 2016 to the Warriors. If they don't win, I don't think KD goes to the Warriors. Me personally, he might have ended up staying in OKC, but he might have ended up going somewhere else. So I think a lot of years change because Cleveland came back from 3-1. Because even though they did win, I mean, Gold State was the best team that year. They just got
No, they
beat.
weren't.
They got
I
beat
don't
on a
care what anyone
really
says.
historic team.
That Cavs team is a better overall team than the
They were.
Warriors. Like
I agree.
I still don't get that argument, man. Like they were up 3-1. Same thing with the Thunder. Like and now I don't think the Thunder were better than the Warriors, but like they were up 3-1. I understand that. But like I'm taking Braun,
It's hard.
Kyrie, and Kevin Love over KD, Draymond, and Clay. Like I am. Like there's better. They have.
No. It wasn't that trio. It was.
You mean
You mean
Curry
Draymond, Clay, and
and
Steph?
Curry?
Oh, did I say KD?
Yeah, you said
Oh,
KD.
my bad. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
yeah.
said KD.
But I know what you meant. I
2016,
just wanted to make
that
sure.
was
Brain, bro.
2016.
You're just visualizing
Yes,
again
I
him coming to your team.
yeah, I just don't care what anyone says. Like I'm taking the 3 in Cleveland over the 3 in the Warriors. I know they won. They went 72-10. They broke the Bulls record, or no 73-9. They went 73-9. I know that they but were the best team all year, unanimous MVP. I understand that, but like it's LeBron. It's LeBron in the playoffs. Kyrie was probably the second best point guard at that time, if not number 3. Maybe Russ was number 2, and everything as far as that goes. So like in the league, and then like it's Draymond versus Kevin Love. Man, Kevin Love was a demon back then. So was Draymond. That was like prime Draymond. So like I said, it's just who you're taking. I still think that Cavs team was better in 2016. That is just me. That is my opinion. Now where they were down 3-1, they had to win 3 games in a row. They did. But that's
Right.
besides the point.
Not always not always does the best team win the championship,
Yeah.
and you guys did have a generational season. I know they have that, the saying, it don't mean a thing without the ring. I still think it was a pretty incredible year, but yes, very devastating how it went down. Very similar to how our season went down that same year too. So
But yeah, so I don't know.
yeah,
For me, and I've talked to Ben about this, like my favorite players, my 2 favorite players, love them both in the league, Giannis and Steph Curry. Number 3 is easily Anthony Edwards. That man is the best. I love Ant, bro. Like I love how raw he is as far as pause. Um as far as like just
thank
like
you for the
he's just
pause.
himself, man. Like he especially in like these like post game interviews, pre game interviews, podcasts, like he's just unapologetically himself. He probably needs a little bit of some
Media
media
work.
training as far as that goes.
He's also one of my favorite players too.
But that's who I would want to see KD team up with. Like honestly, like I think, and also like man, that's Ant's favorite player of all time. Like Ant has come out publicly said billions and billions of times like he wants to play with KD. Like that's what that's what they want. That's what Ant wants. Obviously, I don't know what KD's thinking, but I think, like I said, another bias. Like Ben was like biased towards the Spurs. I'm biased. Like I love Ant so much. I like he's just a dog. He's top 10 player in the league. Um,
Yeah.
Him and KD. Like I said, I don't know what team they would put around them. I don't know what they would have to give up to get KD. But seeing him be a Wolf would be awesome. I know that they tried to trade last minute. I think they tried to trade for him last
Yeah.
minute at the
They called 2 hours
yeah
before the trade
yeah.
deadline
I think
ended.
so they tried to
They did
they
try.
tried to
They got assets too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
um
I
yeah.
yeah.
Go Jordan, you can go. That's who I would want to see him with.
So this is what I was going to say. So this is right now, according to Bovada, on odds for Kevin Durant, for where he's going to land next season. So most likely they put Houston Rockets. At least this is the odds. I don't know what they're basing this off of, but this is just what it shows. So Houston Rockets 1, New York Knicks 2, Golden State Warriors 3,
What?
Miami Heat 4, and Oklahoma City Thunder 5. And then they've got a few other teams like the Timberwolves and the Spurs close to that. But I mean, any team that gets Kevin Durant, like he even said himself, hey, you're gonna kind of have to gut your, you know,
Hmm.
and it depends how the money works. It depends the picks that you'll give up. But I do actually think that if OKC goes out in the second round this year or something like that, we'll probably try to get him if it makes sense. You know what I mean? If we have a deep
Yeah.
playoff run, Sam Presti is very particular on building a team with consistency. And so
Yeah.
if like we make it to the conference finals and we make a deep run there, or if we make it to the finals and lose, I don't think he will do that. But yeah, I mean, we can definitely make the money work. We can make it happen. but there's definitely going to be a huge bidding war. And it also depends. KD is on the back end of his contract. He's 36 years old. Production is also going to be a question. But me personally, I think KD still got some good years in him, even at his age. Kind of like Braun in his own way.
Yeah, like and that's what I don't understand. Like, it took what was it, 4 firsts, right, from the Nets? Is that what it was?
It was four for
Four firsts.
to get him.
Wait, it was no Mikal, Cam Johnson.
No. It was three
first,
first, Mikal and Cam Johnson.
Cam Johnson.
I just like
Yeah,
when they're saying they're like getting rid of their whole squad for Kevin Durant right now, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I could see him going for 2 firsts and maybe a good player. I don't understand this whole like gutting the whole team for Kevin Durant. I don't think he is that still top 10 player in the league. But like for me, like if I'm the GM opposite of the Suns, I'm like, what do you expect me to give you for someone who has also like very openly been like he's very open to leave these teams very shortly after they don't work, or if they don't work. Like he's someone that, like I said, and because he's so sought out, like he can do that. He can obviously do that, and because of obviously how good he is. But like for me, like if I'm the Thunder and they're like, I want J-Dub, I want J-Dub, Caruso, Isaiah. I want all your good role players and then a couple first. Like, I'd be like, no, like that's not happening. Like, and so, like I said, I look at these teams that can give a lot because of picks. I just don't like. Is right now Kevin Durant worth 4 first-round picks? I don't think so. Like, I don't, to be honest.
Is that just because of his age, though?
Yes, absolutely. Like, I'm saying, like.
Okay, I agree with you if that is your only point,
no,
though.
not because of production.
Good. No, it is a good point. It's not because of how he is now.
3 years ago,
but
he
it's
was
thinking
worth
in the
Mikal,
future.
Cam Johnson, and 3 picks, and they're saying 4 first like rounders now. Like I just don't understand where that's coming from as far as like
also
the whole
length of contract. Also, the length of contract, because if Katie had a long contract and he was 33, oh hell yeah! I mean, for sure, you can definitely throw in some big players.
Is the number one thing. Like that's all it is. Like and so for me, like I said, he would at next year be 37 years old. He will be. I don't know how many more years he has right now on the Suns contract. But like
he has I think he's on the Nets contract, right?
He's 1 more year.
He's on the Nets contract.
Like you would be hoping it's a rental, unless that's a sign and trade. Obviously, we don't know the whole details of obviously what it would be. I'm assuming it'd probably be a sign and trade. But I just don't understand like where they're coming from as far as like he's saying like they would have to gut their whole roster. Because I know he got on the Draymond podcast and he talked about like he's like like it wasn't anything like because they were talking about like there was speculation of him going back to Golden State at the trade deadline, and he was like like I didn't want to leave, number one, in the middle of the season, which I also respect, but number two, they were also talking about like he's like I would have to gut your whole roster, like, and I'm just like like I'm thinking about it, like what were they gonna send? Probably Kuminga, Moody, and a couple firsts. Like that's what I would have sent if I'm Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy. Like, that's what I'm sending. And like I said, now Jonathan Kuminga is 22 years old, but I'm still taking Kevin Durant over Jonathan Kuminga. Like, that's just facts. Like, I think anyone in the world is taking a Kevin Durant over Jonathan Kuminga. And so,
Kuminga, a couple first-round picks, and maybe a hairbrush for KD.
And I absolutely think that would be enough. Like, I think 2 firsts and a very, very young, talented player like Kuminga and Moody, like they're both young. They're both like I think 23, 24 years old. Like these guys are young who can get better. Now, would that please Devin Booker? I don't know. That's obviously something we would have to find out. But like, yeah, I don't know. When I heard
we could see Suns go into rebuild mode for sure.
Yeah, when I heard the whole like gut the whole team, I just don't understand it.
The only thing that I go to bat for KD for when it comes to trading for him, right, is I get at the time the Suns traded for him, I think that was the right haul, like to get him. I think he was worth 3 picks, Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. And through the first 8 games when the Suns had Chris Paul, Booker, KD, and Ayton.
Andre Ayton. Yeah,
they were 8-0. I think where the Suns went wrong, it wasn't with the KD trade. I think that honestly,
I agree with that. It was
I think it honestly made him better.
Bradley Beal trade.
Yes, that is the only thing. And then again to Ray's point, Ray's kind of said he's kind of been quick to kind of leave these teams. First off, it's only been 2 teams, other than the Warriors, which I think we all can agree why he left. He didn't. He was kind of in that shadow of wasn't winning real rings, and Draymond, of course, kind of forced him out. So I'm looking at the Nets and the Suns. Well, the Nets has been the only team he's left so far out of those 2 teams. But let's say he leaves the Suns in the summer. Let's just say the Nets, they didn't have all those issues with the vaccine with Kyrie or Harden getting hurt or stuff like that. And now, if the Suns didn't trade for Bradley Beal and have all these kind of bad contracts on their roster, I don't think KD leaves these situations. Like, I think he's always kind of been in the right to, because of how good he is, to leave these situations whenever he wants or whenever he feels, hey, there's nothing more I can really do. Because it's never been his fault. It's never been his play that has been the reason why a team isn't, playing good or anything like that. So that's just like the only reason why I asked Ray. I was like, is it
I would say for the
just
most
the
part,
age?
yes. I would say for the most part, yes.
Yeah, and I agree with the age. I agree with both of you guys. He's going to be 37 next year, an expiring contract. I wouldn't give up a haul, even as I'm the biggest KD fan in the world, probably. I wouldn't even trade for KD more than 2 first-round picks, and if I was the Thunder, I wouldn't give up J-Dub for him. So,
No. I agree with that. Now, you could make it work with OKC. Now, I looked at the money. You can make it work with, now this just depends on OKC, right? So you can make it work with a couple first round picks, Hartenstein and Aaron Wiggins. Now, if you got Hartenstein and Aaron Wiggins for the Phoenix Suns, they're both still very young, mid-20s, and those are great pieces. Wiggins is a true 6-man. In my opinion, he should be up for, top up there for 6-man of the year. Maybe not one, but he's top 3 for sure.
yeah.
And just the production he's been giving. And Hartenstein, I mean, uh, obviously Jokic is the best passing big in the league, and I know it's a huge drop off, but Hartenstein has some of those intangibles when it comes to these high IQ plays, defense, rebounding, and he's just got that little quick little flip shot he does, and he gets 20 points when you need it just off that.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
No chance am I
Yeah.
giving up Kevin Durant for Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Hartenstein, and 2 firsts. Like, that's like out of the equation. Like, if they came to me, I would laugh. Like, that's on God. Like,
But that's the thing is they would be approaching probably us, about it.
No, same.
I don't know
I
if
think
OKC
the only
would pick
thing
that up.
if I'm the Suns GM, I'm asking for J-Dub, and I'm like, that's the only chance you get KD. Like, that's if you want to do it.
You'd be like, oh, you want J-Dub? Okay, great.
Maybe
I'll
J-Dub in
just
a
hang up the
first,
phone.
and then you do that. Like, that would be the only thing. The Rockets are stacked. The Rockets have a lot they can give up. Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson, like,
true.
Cam Whitmore, Reed Shepherd.
And they would still not lose a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And they would
like,
still be able to have a
think
team.
the Rockets
They would
have
still
the
be able to have a team.
best, like, they can give, I guess, the best. Not saying the best, because I think that the Thunder can give the best, but I'm saying, like, what they would have to give up. Like, I could see a Jabari Smith, Jabari Smith.
What about the
Cam Whitmore,
Timberwolves, though?
And, I mean, they'd give Julius Randle, which I would love. I think that was the worst trade of the.
No, I don't even think.
I think they would.
That's the thing. Excluding Julius Randle, they got DiVincenzo, they got Dillingham, they got Terrence Shannon, they got Naz Reid. Yeah, like, and I think they have a couple first round picks over the next couple years as well. So it's like
Jaden McDaniels is an incredible 3-and-D player, by the way. Just really good.
Jaden McDaniels.
That's
I
right.
don't have both.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of teams and there's a lot of things, obviously, that it's going to be cool to see it all play out. Obviously, like I said, I think all of this stuff, all of these speculations are all based off of how teams do in the playoffs. Like, that's everything. Like I said, if the Rockets can make it to the Western Conference Finals, I don't think they will, but let's say they do and then they don't get past, I could see them being like, hey, we just missed that one guy to get us over the step, and boom, they send they send that haul to go try to get KD to take him over the top. Yeah, like I said, everything we're talking about is just purely based off of, obviously, off of how these teams do in the playoffs. Because, like I said, there's people that may think they need it now. They go off in the playoffs and they're like, hey, you know what? We want to keep our young team intact. I could even see the Spurs doing that. Like, I know, obviously, they, who doesn't want it, but I could see them being like, all right, we have De'Aaron Fox now, we have Wemby, we don't want to get rid of Stephon Castle. We don't want to get rid of, Julian Champagnie and everything like that. Or is Julian? Is it Julian that's on the Spurs, or is Julian on the Wizards?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
Julian.
But yeah, like I can see a lot of these teams also looking the opposite route. Like, hey, KD is obviously top 10 player in the league still. I don't want to give up my future. I don't want to give up my picks that we've put a lot of time into, a lot of money into, and to see them go to another team. Who knows how this goes. And like I said, he could pick up the Knicks being the second team in the Bovada betting. It's crazy to me. Like I don't know what they have to
I actually
give.
don't
I don't know
agree
what
with
they
that.
I mean,
what would they be able to give up because they gave 5 firsts for
yeah, it
Mikal.
would be probably
I
Mikal.
don't
Like,
know. I actually don't agree with that.
Mikal, bet, yeah.
Mikal back and OG. I don't
Josh
know.
Hart
Yeah,
and a
like
few
I don't know
picks.
what you could do. So I don't know. Yeah, like I said, it's all based off of it's all speculation and everything. But the Rockets being number one definitely makes
Yeah.
some sense. And everything. Next topic I wanted to kind of talk about is essentially just happened yesterday. Kind of switching over from sports. Not a lot of, obviously, because it is the offseason, not a lot of crazy news coming out, but the Bengals going and paying their 2 wide receivers. Something that's I don't think has ever been done. Is Jamar the number one highest paid quarterback or non-quarterback now?
Highest, no, none.
Yeah,
Yep,
so the highest
yep.
paid non-quarterback
For about a week
yeah, until Micah gets
until Micah.
paid. Yeah, so God, don't get me started with that. But yeah, I want to get your guys' thoughts on number one. Do you guys think you can win a championship with having two? I don't know what T's getting annually, but I'm assuming it's probably top 10 money.
T's 4 years.
right?
Let me do the math. I think it's like 28 to be exact. 115.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I said,
28.75 mil a year.
Which I think puts him in the top 10 of wide receivers paid. I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys think number one
Is it a good choice?
that can win a championship? It's never been done before, I don't think. And I think the first ever time it was gonna happen was actually when, the Eagles I think just did it this year. I think that.
Well, let's look at the facts,
I think
right?
the Eagles have.
Let's look at the facts. Did Joe Burrow not have a generational quarterback season and they still didn't make the playoffs? Generational, right? So my big thing is, me personally, that money they put into Higgins, and I love Higgins and Jamar Chase. Best wide receiver duo in the league, right? I don't know if there's a debate about that.
No.
But for me, I would put that money into a defense, man, because the offense they have is still incredible. You look at the Chase Brown and what Zach Moss was doing as like a little 1-2 punch there for a while was really, really good stuff. I mean, Chase Brown was just letting loose. I don't know if you guys watched Chase Brown this year, but he really started to take over. Yeah, he really started to take over. And I love T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins is on most teams the number one option for sure. And it's just really about the money. It's really about the money. I love seeing that duo, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It's like impossible to cover, but I would have put that money into focusing on their defense, me personally.
Yeah, I agree with Jordan. I definitely see why they did it. They're trying to accommodate to Joe Burrow's needs and wants, which I respect. Like ever since they drafted Joe Burrow, they changed the name rights on the stadium, which I know is you guys may not look as big, but the owner, his dad's name used to be on the stadium. So to get more money in, to make more revenue, to pay players, they changed the name. They built an indoor practice facility a few years ago, and now they pay Jamar Chase, making him the highest non-paid quarterback ever, or in the NFL right now. And now T. Higgins is the highest paid wide receiver 2 in NFL history. So I kind of see what they were doing there. And it's going to terrify corners in this league. But it's also going to terrify the Bengals corners too because there's no help coming. There's no more money to help them on the defensive side of the ball. I think I saw a stat that the Bengals scored 33-plus points in 7 games last year. In those 7 games, they were 3-4. And the rest of the NFL, when they scored 33-plus points, they were 79-7. The whole rest of the league. So like, and I'm not even a big defensive guy. Like Ray knows that. Like I'm not saying you don't like you could win with a bottom 10 defense, but I think offense is more important than defense in today's sports era. But I still think
It's
you needed.
serviceable for the Bengals at least.
Yeah,
Something.
exactly. And also, I look at Joe Burrow as a top three quarterback. Whether no matter where you guys put him in that top three, he's a top three
He's top
quarterback.
three. He's top.
And he doesn't, in my opinion, he doesn't need the best wide receiver duo in the league. Pat Mahomes doesn't have that. Josh Allen doesn't have that. And those are the other two people I have in the top three with him. I would have personally paid Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson, and used that 115 million to spend on the defense. I I don't see this Bengals team as a Super Bowl contender. I see them as a playoff contender for sure. They were one game out of it. Had a horrible start like they do every year, which is another reason why I don't trust this team. But if they don't have that slow start,
Has been hurt. He just
what
keeps getting hurt.
I get that, but he's been like that his whole career, and he only missed 5 games last year. So, and Joe Burrow had a career legendary season. So
He did.
I when you're paying $511 million to 3 players, when it's Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, you expect a Super Bowl ring out of it, not just a playoff contention, you know? But what are your thoughts, Roy?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I'm a very big Joe Burrow fan. Ben knows that. Obviously, we have a lot of discussions about this and everything. Um, Jamar was always going to get that money, so like that's not a big like I don't care about that. Like I could care less about Jamar being extended. He was always gonna, like I said, for a couple days be the highest paid player in the league. Obviously, he had to overjump Jay Jettas. Um, what I'm seeing, and I just looked it up. T. Higgins is still making less money than DJ Moore and Jalen Waddle. Um, in my opinion, like that's a great deal. Like I even told Ben, I think he took a little bit of a discount. I think he could have got 130 probably from another team. You know, let's say the Patriots. I know the Chargers were looking to obviously go get him, um, and everything as far as that goes. If you want to put it in perspective, Brandon Ayuk is making $3 more million a year than T. Higgins. I don't think that's even a question on who is a better wide receiver. Like I think everyone would take T. Higgins over Brandon Ayuk. That's just me. I don't know,
Oh, yeah.
obviously, what you guys think as far as that
Absolutely.
goes. But seeing that, like I said, I like if Ben just said, I think it was 28.7, right, Ben? 28.7 is the annual.
Who's that guy with the frosted tips? He was out playing Brandon Ayuk this year. Forget his name. He went crazy.
Brandon Jennings. No, what's his name? Juwan Jennings. My bad.
No, not Brandon Jennings. Juwan Jennings.
Yeah,
Yeah, Brandon Jennings.
yeah.
You're thinking of the
But that's
basketball
what I'm
player.
saying. Like I see where everyone's going, and like I said, now he took a discount. He's also on the same team. Like that's never been a thing, and I think that was from me being a Cowboys fan. That first off ever started of the fear of paying two wide receivers top money was when we first had Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Like they were always like, who are you gonna pay? Are you gonna pay both of them? Obviously, we ended up trading Amari Cooper. But the only other team that's
I actually did not know you were a Cowboys fan.
what? But yeah,
That's
well,
the tough times you've been going through.
yeah, it made me feel like a Thunder fan. But no big deal. We won't talk about that. But yeah, no, I think and like I said, I think the first time it ever was done was the Eagles. The Eagles are paying AJ Brown $32 million a year and Devontae Smith $26 million a year. So obviously, they're paying him more, but obviously the salary cap has gone up since they gave both of those contracts to both of those players, and everything as far as that goes. Because I think those were 2 years ago they gave him those contracts, and they just won a championship. So like I said, it's not something that I think that maybe was a smart move, but like I said, seeing the contract that T. Higgins got, team friendly, at least I think so. Like in my opinion, $28 million, and he's probably a one on 15 teams in the league. Like it's something where, like I said, I did see that they gave Trey Hendrickson the permission to seek a trade, but they're looking to re-sign him. I think everyone like really. I don't think anyone really knows like and I kind of, because I've started to kind of like them just because of like I like Joe Burrow so much, and my sister is just the worst Bengals fan like ever. She's just obsessed with them because of Joe Burrow. But I've looked into more of it. Like their owner does not pay people. Like their owner doesn't. And so
No.
that's why like a lot of people are like, oh, they don't have the money. They do.
No,
They
Jerry
do
Jones.
actually have the money to pay these people and also get more. It's just they've never done it, and that's why people are looking at it like, oh my God, he's spending top dollar. Now he is on Jamar Chase, but like I said, I think that they are going to be able to put number one a better defense. I can't say a good defense, obviously, because they've just never really had a good defense. Since like Andy Dalton was there. I think they still have. I think they're still like 15th in cap space even after these trades. So, or even after these contracts. So like they have the money to build this a roster. I don't know what Trey Hendrickson is gonna get, because in my opinion, he's not better than Micah. So I hope he doesn't like reset the market with like Myles Garrett kind of did, and everything. But yeah, like I said, I could see them putting a roster around them. Like I said, who knows? I'm not dealing with the money that they are in Cincinnati, but I like it. I also think it made both of them happy and Joe Burrow happy as well. Like, and I think chemistry is also a big thing. Like, you let T walk, and who knows how Jamar and Joe think about that. Like, you had the resources to pay these guys, you didn't want to. Who knows? So, like I said, I think team camaraderie, team chemistry, that also plays a part in it as well. Joe Burrow has said he would defer some money to as well to bring T back. So like I said, I think that the team did the due diligence in giving both of them the contract. I think it is cool. And everything as that goes. So like I said, that's my kind of thought process behind it. I do think that we are gonna know obviously within the next. I just want them to start off good, man. Like I think if they've had a
Yeah.
lot of slow starts since Joe Burrow became the quarterback, and obviously they always like at the end of the year look like the best team in the league. I really want them to start off good next year, and then obviously, like I said, and kind of see how it goes. We still don't know what their roster's fully going to look like, but like I said, I think that they're always going to be just because of their quarterback being, in my opinion, top 3 in the league. Like I always think they're going to be up for Super Bowl contenders, and I don't think that'll change as long as he is the quarterback there. So, but yeah, kind of some closing thoughts and everything. Obviously, for you guys, obviously we are going to try to do these once a week. Hopefully around Tuesday or Wednesday, like I said, every week. Any closing thoughts that you guys had for the first podcast? Any thoughts, anything you guys want to say before we kind of close out and close off?
Not much. Just that we started at the right time. March, best time of the
Yeah, we
year.
definitely want to get this done before the games really started.
Yeah.
I know I was just looking. I think I sent it to you guys in the.
Yep.
I think I sent it to you guys after the. But yeah, UConn or University of North Carolina. So UNC is beating San Diego State by 33. So
Yep.
73-40. So who knows? Maybe maybe putting UNC in the tournament was a good idea. But yeah, like I said, we're going to see the round of 64, the round of 32 are going to conclude Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And by the next show, we will have, like I said, an updated bracket, have more topics to talk about and everything. Jordan, do you have any closing statements or anything as far as that goes?
I do have a closing statement. Lakers, salt shakers, Betty Bakers, OKC in 5.
Wow.
Oh
That's crazy.
my God.
But yeah, guys, we appreciate you guys for listening in. If you guys have tuned in this far, like I said, this is going to be the TST podcast. We'll see you next week.